A man's face, wide-eyed in the back of a police car. A king forced to issue an ice-cold statement against his own brother. And an heir to the throne, desperate to protect his future from a stain that just won't wash out. For years, the Prince Andrew story has been a slow-burning fire at the very foundations of the House of Windsor. But in 2026, that fire finally erupted into an inferno, threatening to consume everything around it. The headlines are screaming about a bitter family war, a king caught between loyalty and duty, and a Prince of Wales demanding his uncle be banished for good. But behind the palace drama, the reality is far more dangerous. This isn't just about arguments, it's about survival. The Andrew problem has escalated from a PR nightmare into a series of seismic shocks. An arrest, explosive new evidence, and a calculated campaign by the crown to sever a limb to save the body. This is the story of how one man's past came to threaten the monarchy's future, putting a father and son on a collision course over the one man who could bring the palace down. The morning of February 19, 2026, was cold and gray at the Sandringham estate, but the weather had nothing on the chill that descended upon the royal family. On his 66th birthday, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the man once known as Prince Andrew, Duke of York, was arrested. 6 unmarked cars rolled up to Wood Farm as officers from Thames Valley Police took him into custody on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The charge was old, but the implications were devastatingly modern. Andrew became the first senior royal to be arrested in centuries. The arrest wasn't for the sexual assault allegations he has always denied, but for something just as toxic to the crown: the alleged misuse of his job as Britain's special trade envoy. This bombshell was the direct result of over 3 million pages of documents from the U.S. Department of Justice's Epstein files, released just weeks earlier on January 30th. Those files were a goldmine of damning material. They included emails suggesting Andrew had forwarded confidential government briefs from his trade missions to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. One was reportedly a sensitive report on investment opportunities in Afghanistan. The accusation was as clear as it was shocking. He was allegedly sharing state secrets with a predator. The files also delivered more visceral blows. Photographs emerged, including one reportedly showing a man who appears to be Andrew kneeling over a woman on the floor. Another showed him with several women, their faces blurred out, with Ghislaine Maxwell in the background. Emails also detailed an invitation for Epstein to have dinner at Buckingham Palace in 2010, shortly after Epstein's release from house arrest, with Andrew allegedly promising lots of privacy. Facing a crisis of historic proportions, King Charles III had no choice but to act. In a statement that stunned observers with its cold formality, the king didn't even refer to his brother by name, calling him Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The king stated he learned the news with the deepest concern and that the law must take its course. He then offered authorities his full and wholehearted support and cooperation. The message was brutal and absolute. This was no longer a family matter. The king was siding with the law, and Andrew's last shield of royal protection had just evaporated. He was completely on his own. Long before the arrest, a fault line was already cracking open the relationship between King Charles and his heir, Prince William. The Andrew problem has been a sore spot for years, but the events of early 2026 blew it wide open. Prince William, with his eyes locked on the future he will inherit, has reportedly been pushing a zero-tolerance policy. Ever since Andrew's catastrophic 2019 BBC Newsnight interview, William was said to be urging his father and grandmother to remove his uncle from public life, viewing him as a stain on all the family. A palace source revealed that William believed the monarchy was in a full-scale firefight and that Andrew should be left to sort out his own mess. For William, this isn't just personal dislike, it's strategic survival. He sees the Andrew scandal as an existential threat that destroys public trust and puts the entire institution at risk. He knows that in the 21st century, the monarchy can't survive the poison of Andrew's associations. Reports from insiders suggest William is completely done with his uncle and wants all ties cut for good. King Charles, however, has been caught in an agonizing bind. He's a monarch, but he's also a brother. For years, there were reports of Charles trying to manage the situation, balancing his duty to the crown against a lingering sense of family loyalty. Insiders have even spoken of tense talks where Charles put William in his place over the issue, revealing just how different their approaches were. But the flood of new evidence and the arrest left Charles with no room to maneuver. He had to choose, and he chose the crown. The eviction from Royal Lodge became a key battleground. In late 2025, Charles began the process of removing Andrew from the 30-room mansion. By early 2026, the move was fast-tracked, with Andrew leaving under the cover of darkness for the more isolated Wood Farm on the Sandringham estate, before a final move to Marsh Farm in April 2026. This wasn't just a change of address. It was a public humiliation, physically casting him out from the heart of the royal world. While William has been the main force for a hardline approach, his actions aren't without complexity. A biography claimed that after Andrew was stripped of his titles in October 2025, William was one of the few to call and offer condolences. However, sources close to the Prince of Wales have since denied any recent contact, a clear effort to create public distance as the scandal deepens. This complex dance, a private gesture followed by a public denial, highlights the impossible tension between family instinct and the cold, hard logic of monarchical survival. The fallout from the Andrew scandal hasn't stopped with him. It sent shockwaves through the entire royal family, hitting everyone from his daughters to his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, once seen as respected, non-working royals, now find themselves tainted by their father's reputation. There have been public calls for them, along with their father, to be removed from the line of succession, a move the government is reportedly considering. The family has become visibly fractured. At the Easter Sunday service in 2026, a major royal gathering, Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, and their daughters were all absent, a stark contrast to 2025 when they were part of the family group. Reports suggest the princesses now feel duped by their father, whom they had previously supported. As the crisis exploded, Sarah Ferguson reportedly fled to the French Alps and the UAE, while one royal commentator called the revelations the nail in the coffin for both Andrew and Sarah. This creates a personal problem for Prince William, too. He's known to have a good relationship with his cousins, Beatrice and Eugenie. Yet his reported demand for a clean break from the entire York family puts him in a tough spot. To protect the institution, he may have to sacrifice those personal relationships, showing the brutal cost of this scandal. And the pressure isn't just internal. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has publicly said Andrew should testify before the U.S. Congress, and American lawmakers have demanded it as well. Anti-monarchy groups are energized, using the scandal as proof that the institution is corrupt. This storm of external pressure and internal division has the palace reeling. The scandal is no longer just tabloid fodder. It's a serious political and diplomatic crisis that is shredding public trust in the monarchy. The last few months have been a whirlwind of arrests, bombshells, and royal decrees. It's a complex story, and it's moving fast. To make sure you don't miss a single update on this crisis, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Your support helps us keep bringing you the in-depth analysis on the stories that truly matter. The Andrew problem has become the defining crisis of King Charles's reign and a massive challenge for Prince William's future. Royal experts have warned this is a scandal that won't go away. It just keeps coming back, each time doing more damage. The fundamental trust between the people and the crown is being put to the ultimate test. King Charles took the throne with a vision for a slimmed-down, modern monarchy. But his brother's actions have consistently sabotaged those efforts. The king has been forced to play defense, lurching from one disaster to the next. His decisive moves, stripping Andrew of his titles, evicting him from Royal Lodge, and supporting the police, have been praised by many as necessary to protect the crown. Polls even suggest that a majority of the public is satisfied with how the king has handled it. But the big question remains, is it enough? For Prince William, the stakes are even higher. He's not just watching his father's reign, he's watching the prelude to his own. His hardline stance comes from a deep desire to build a monarchy his son, Prince George, can be proud of, one that is transparent and accountable. He knows he cannot start his reign with his uncle's shadow hanging over him. Experts have warned that Andrew's misconduct may force the monarchy to transform into a more European-style, scaled-back institution even before William becomes king. This crisis is forcing change at a speed the palace has never been comfortable with. The The path forward is treacherous. Andrew remains under investigation. He hasn't been charged, but he hasn't been cleared either. The idea of a trial, with a member of the royal family in the dock, is a terrifying thought for the palace. The government is also considering legislation to remove him from the line of succession, a complex process that would be another unprecedented blow. The story of the Andrew problem is no longer about the past. It's about the future of the British monarchy. What started with questionable friendships and a train-wreck TV interview has spiraled into a legal and constitutional crisis. The image of Andrew in the back of that police car on his 66th birthday will forever be a symbol of this era. The moment the mystique of royalty shattered against the cold, hard reality of the law. King Charles was forced to make a choice no monarch or brother should ever have to. He drew a line in the sand, sacrificing a family member to save the family firm. Prince William, the future king, is watching and pushing for a final, clean break, determined to end this crisis before it poisons his own reign. The House of Windsor is now in one of its most perilous positions in modern history. It is a crisis of trust, of transparency, and of identity. How Charles and William navigate the final act of the Andrew saga won't just decide the fate of one man. It will shape the crown for generations to come. The looming threat has arrived, the split is real, and the monarchy will never be the same again.